The world is reeling from the revelations at Redwood Heights, with protests erupting in the streets and survivors beginning to tell their stories. Public outrage has reached a boiling point, demanding justice for those who were exploited by the resurrection trade. Alina, watching the news coverage, feels both victorious and burdened with guilt, haunted by what Kelsie and others endured. Meanwhile, inside Eternity Incorporated, panic spreads as board members scramble to contain the fallout. Whispers grow louder, and the evidence points to a shocking truth. The scheme wasn't the work of rogue operators, but the vision of Joseph Brennan himself. This episode of the Afterlife Trap is brought to you by the upcoming novel Demon Protocol.
Kirkus Reviews calls it an engaging and plausible techno-thriller and gave it their get it verdict.
Callum Chase, author of Surviving AI, says it's a very enjoyable, fast-moving page-turner.
Readers' favorite raves, believable and terrifying technology, a spectacular read. And another reviewer calls it a roller coaster of a book, crisp writing, immersive settings, and larger-than-life characters.
Demon Protocol, available September 25th from fine booksellers. The grand hall of the congressional chamber was buzzing with tension. Lawmakers filled the seats, their faces grim and focused, while cameras captured every moment for the millions watching live. Outside, the protest chants grew louder, reverberating through the thick walls. Placards bobbed above the crowd, demanding justice for victims and the abolition of forced consciousness transfers. Senator Helen Whitmore struck her gavel 3 times, calling the room to order. Her stern gaze swept over the assembled witnesses and corporate representatives.
We are convened today to address the proposed legislation to regulate digital consciousness preservation and transfer,
she announced.
Recent revelations regarding the Redwood Heights scandal have raised serious ethical and legal questions. We must determine how to safeguard both digital residents and living citizens from exploitation and abuse.
Her eyes moved to the first witness of the day.
Our first testimony will come from Ava Marino, acting CEO of Eternity Incorporated.
Ava rose from her seat with measured grace, walking to the stand. Adjusting the microphone, she maintained an air of calm professionalism despite the firestorm that awaited her.
Miss Marino,
Whitmore began, her voice controlled.
Thank you for appearing before us. The revelations of illegal body transfers at Redwood Heights have shocked the nation. How do you intend to address the public's outrage, and what measures will Eternity Inc. take to prevent such abuses in the future?
Ava nodded respectfully.
Thank you, Senator. First and foremost, I want to make it absolutely clear that Eternity Inc. condemns the illegal actions perpetrated at Redwood Heights. These were carried out under the direction of Joseph Brennan without the knowledge or consent of the board. We have taken immediate action to remove him from his position and are cooperating fully with law enforcement. We are conducting a comprehensive internal audit and implementing new oversight mechanisms to prevent any future violations.
Whitmore leaned forward.
You're saying that no one else on the board had knowledge of the resurrection trade?
That is correct,
Ava replied.
Brennan operated independently, concealing his actions through shell companies and falsified research budgets.
A senator on the left side of the room raised his hand, prompting Whitmore to nod in his direction. Senator Robert Keaton, known for his fierce advocacy on civil rights, took the floor.
Miss Moreno,
He began, his voice sharp.
you have stated that Brennan acted independently, but it's clear from the documents leaked to the public that funds were transferred under Eternity Inc.'s official accounts. You expect us to believe that not a single person other than Brennan knew about these activities?
Ava maintained her composure.
Senator, Brennan exploited our financial infrastructure and manipulated internal documentation. He leveraged his reputation to push through funding without adequate oversight. We have identified significant procedural failures and are correcting them as we speak.
Keaton wasn't satisfied.
That's a convenient narrative. Tell me, Miss Moreno, are you aware of specific cases where digital residents were exploited within the Forever program itself? For example, Nicole Wilson, the resident who became a symbol of servitude after her story leaked. Or the case of Felicia Reyes, whose consciousness was used as a test subject for body transfer. How can you claim reform when such abuses occurred on your watch?
Ava's eyes darkened slightly, but she kept her voice steady.
Senator, I have personally reviewed the cases you mentioned. It is deeply troubling that residents such as Nicole have been subject to manipulative practices within the Forever program. One of our immediate priorities is conducting a thorough investigation to identify any instances of coercion or exploitation, both digital and physical. We are committed to holding accountable anyone involved in such practices.
Keaton didn't relent.
What about Bernadette Lavelle and Alexander Voss? Both of which are your high-profile clients who is alleged to have used residents as her personal servants and performed immoral exploitation of other residents. Are you saying that the company didn't know about this either?
Ava pressed her lips together before responding.
The Forever program was designed as a sanctuary, a way for individuals to continue their existence beyond physical death. Unfortunately, we did not fully anticipate how the social dynamics within the program could be manipulated. We are now actively pursuing reforms to ensure residents have autonomy and are protected from digital servitude.
Keaton leaned forward, his tone relentless.
What safeguards are you proposing? Can digital residents testify in their own defense? Can they report abuse without fearing deletion? Can their emotional states be manipulated by the program's algorithm to keep them complacent?
Ava paused, choosing her words carefully.
These are precisely the issues we are examining, Senator. One of the challenges lies in distinguishing between experiences that shape personality and intentional manipulation. The nature of a digital existence means that every experience inherently alters their consciousness, making it difficult to separate organic change from coercion. We must be cautious not to impose changes that could inadvertently cause harm by overcorrecting. Any legislative framework must balance protection with the inherent fluidity of digital consciousness.
Keaton's eyes narrowed.
That sounds like a convenient way to sidestep responsibility. You're saying that even after all the revelations, you still don't know how to guarantee that digital residents aren't being abused.
Ava met his gaze firmly.
I am saying that we need a rigorous, scientifically grounded approach. Rushing to enforce changes without understanding the full implications could lead to unintended consequences, replacing one set of harms with another. We are consulting with experts to develop a regulatory framework that addresses these issues without destabilizing existing digital consciousnesses.
Keaton leaned back, visibly dissatisfied but unable to directly counter her argument. Whitmore intervened, nodding toward Father Matthias.
Next, we will hear from Father Matthias Gray of St. Anthony's Church,
Whitmore announced. Matthias rose slowly, his hands clasped in front of him as he approached the stand. He took a moment to collect himself before speaking.
Thank you, Senator. I stand before you not as an expert in technology or law, but as a pastor who has witnessed the consequences of these programs firsthand. The Forever program was marketed as a sanctuary, a place for people to transcend death. Instead, it became a purgatory where souls were trapped and exploited, used as tools by the wealthy while their families grieved without closure.
Senator Keaton spoke up again.
Father, do you believe digital residents should be granted full legal personhood?
Matthias hesitated, gathering his thoughts.
That question is not one I take lightly. To grant full personhood would require us to redefine what it means to be human. A monumental decision. But I do believe they deserve fundamental protections. The right to be heard, the right to be protected from harm, and the right to autonomy over their own existence. We cannot ignore their suffering just because they no longer possess a physical form.
Another senator chimed in.
Do you believe that forced transfers, like those exposed at Redwood Heights, are inherently immoral?
Matthias didn't waver.
Yes, absolutely. To take a living person's consciousness and replace it with another's is nothing short of murder. The scandal at Redwood Heights showed us the horrific lengths to which people will go to cheat death. We must ensure that no loophole in the law ever allows such atrocities to happen again.
Whitmore nodded solemnly.
Thank you, Father. You may step down.
As the hearing drew to a close, Whitmore addressed the assembly.
We have heard testimony from experts and advocates, as well as those personally impacted by the abuses within the Forever program. It is clear that we must take decisive action to ensure accountability and protect vulnerable individuals from exploitation, whether physical or digital. We will continue to deliberate on the specifics of the proposed legislation and reconvene for a final vote next week.
As the session adjourned, Ava left the chamber, flanked by aides and security. Outside, the protesters' chants grew louder, demanding justice and change. Reporters swarmed Ava, thrusting microphones at her, but she maintained a stoic silence, pushing forward to her car. Father Matthias exited through a side door, slipping into the anonymity of the city streets, his heart heavy with uncertainty. Despite his testimony, he couldn't shake the feeling that even the best intentions would not be enough to prevent future exploitation. He whispered a quiet prayer, not just for the victims, but for the soul of a society that had allowed this horror to happen in the first place. In our final episode of The Afterlife Trap, the battle in Washington may be over, but the real work is only beginning. In the quiet of a community center, survivors and allies gather to decide what comes next. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to get updates as the next episode and other new videos become available.